Welcome everybody. My name is Jeff Judson. I'm on the board of directors of the San Antonio Tea Party and also a senior fellow with the Heartland Institute that did a study on the light rail streetcar about a year ago. I've been working to help recruit the plaintiffs for this lawsuit, and that we feel was successful in stopping the streetcar for now. I wanted to give you an update on the lawsuit, what happened, what our plans are going forward, and introduce you to some of the growing coalition of people who are opposed to the streetcar and are going to continue this battle in the days and months and hopefully not years, but as long as it takes ahead. First, the lawsuit. If you look at this picture in front of us, this is a picture that VIA had on their website up until a few days ago when they pulled it down. And the title of this picture is VIA's title. It's the Multimodal Streetcar Hub. If you'll notice, this multimodal transit center, it was clearly designed specifically as a light rail facility. The tracks run underneath the facility. The buses are off to the side. There aren't that many buses either. And the facility is designed to hold the electrical lines that the streetcar run on. And so this is one of the reasons. It was one of the exhibits that we sent to the Attorney General to argue that the ATD dollars for this facility were really being used for streetcar. That violated the contract with the voters that were made in 2004 when we enacted the ATD tax. And the Attorney General agreed, not just with the lawsuit that we filed, but with comments that he was getting from a number of other interested parties and individuals, elected officials, community leaders, and others. So we applaud the Attorney General for stopping these bonds. He approved the one package of bonds that were going to be backed with fare box revenues, and we had no quarrel with those, but we did have a quarrel with anything that uses the ATD tax. That should never go to a rail project. After the bond package has essentially expired, and so we withdrew our lawsuit because it served its purpose. There was no reason for it to be in the court system, and we know we will be back in court again on whatever VIA tries to do next. So we will save our ammunition for another day, but that lawsuit had served its purpose, and that's why we withdrew it. We also did not want that lawsuit sitting there drawing flack from the Chicago-style attorneys that VIA has hired to threaten and intimidate the gentleman that will be speaking next, who are the plaintiffs in the lawsuit. And this is an outrageous action on the part of VIA to threaten citizens who are simply trying to have the organization enforce, who are simply trying to force VIA to live up to their promises. This fight will continue. We will be continuing to battle in the courts. We're going to work with our members of Congress in the House and the Senate to kill any federal funding that VIA may be expecting to get for this project. We're going to be working with the state legislature to modify the legislation that authorized VIA to impose this tax. We also plan on undoing the legislation that was passed in 2011 that allowed VIA to issue bonds without going to the voters. There was a bill that was passed that gave them a specific exemption, but they did not have to go to the voters. So we're going to be pursuing a reversal of that. And I'd like to read a letter from State Senator Donna Campbell at this time. VIA trustees are playing a shell game with taxpayer dollars, and the voters have cried foul. VIA has chosen to ignore the contract it made with the voters and insists on going forward with a dubious project at huge expense to San Antonio taxpayers. This is not a model of good government. Good government is one that instills confidence and governs for the will of the people. It is time to put this ATD funding back before the voters. The ATD tax should be dedicated to roads, and we should preserve VIA's other tax revenues exclusively for their bus system. That's the end of her statement. I will now turn it over to George Alejos and George Rodriguez, the two plaintiffs in the lawsuit.
Good afternoon. It's a great day for San Antonio. The weather's great, and I'm here to announce that we've joined this effort because we feel that VIA is not honoring the contract with the taxpayers that was signed back in 2004. Now, people ask me, why am I involved in this fight? Because some of the people from a different party or different organization are involved. I said, this is not about partisanship. This is a nonpartisan issue that Mr. Rodriguez and I, although we have our differences, have come together because this is for the will of the people and the good thing for San Antonio. Now, he and I got together, we filed a lawsuit, and before we know it, the attorneys from VIA are calling our attorneys in Houston, threatening to sue me and sue Mr. Rodriguez because we had the audacity to file the lawsuit. Well, in defense of Mr. Rodriguez, we decided to drop the lawsuit and myself because the objective was to stop the sale of the bonds. We've accomplished that, but we haven't begun the fight yet. We're going to go back and see what we can do to convince our legislators to do the right thing and repeal that ordinance that was passed in 2011. Mr. Rodriguez has his opinion, and I agree with him, is that we're thinking that we should have asked VIA to allow the citizens to vote. That's not necessary. We voted already on this, and the only reason we allowed them to continue with this project because in 2004 the contract promised us that they would not use these funds for the streetcar project. But let me, if I may, read you excerpts from Chairman Henry Munoz's letter to the people at VIA. And in this letter, he's talking about Senator Donna Campbell's letter, how they need to respond. And he said, you, Charlie, referring to former Congressman Charlie Gonzalez, to respond to this letter from Senator Campbell. The letter, I think, it's very thoughtfully considered, but we need to let her know we're not using, that we are respectful of the contract with the voters, the one in 2004, that we're not using the ATD dollars for streetcar. Then he states, so for this specific item, a bond backed by ATD tax revenue to fund the construction of the bus/streetcar transfer stations on the east and west side of downtown, we're not selling these bonds for implementation of the streetcar. Well, he, by his own admission, said it's for the streetcar and the buses. So my position today is I'm going to join with Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Jackson, everybody that's here today to move forward, and let's see if we can get back the 2004 letter, rescinded, canceled, or whatever. Give us back our money for us to use in other projects, not for streetcars. Now, yesterday I was at the Royal Palace Ballroom on the south side. That's a party held by senior citizens. So when I showed up, I sat down, had turkey with them, and they came up to me. The majority of people there said, Mr. Alejos, thank you for going to fight, taking the fight to VIA. We are bus riders. We use buses to go to our doctors, jobs, schools. We never plan or have any intentions of getting on those streetcars that they're proposing. We'll never be able to get on those buses. And I believe that because I pulled a literature from VIA, where specifically VIA states in that literature that they want to attract a higher quality ridership. Now, what does that say about the current riders? They're not the high quality that you want riding the buses? That's a slap in the face. So, I'll turn the mic over to my colleague, Mr. Rodriguez, for him to add some comments.
Folks, I'm not sure what else I can add to what George has said, other than to let you know how really sad this situation is, because what we are here for, and you already know me as an outspoken person, we should not be intimidated and punished for being citizens of the United States, for speaking out. We should not be punished or intimidated by anyone. Politicians, attorneys, lawyers, police, anyone. We should not be intimidated by that. Furthermore, I say shame on the editorial board of the San Antonio Express for portraying us as the bad guys, as interfering in progress. We're not doing that. We're not stopping progress. All we're saying is, you promised. And what are you doing? You're breaking the promise. My friends, this is not my personal first time at a dance like this. I've been an activist since the days of Mario Compian when I was a member of Mayo. But the difference now is that I have retired to San Antonio to try to mind my own business, but it's not happening because we have folks at City Hall who are tied up with rich developers who want nothing more than to develop downtown, as we would say in Espanol, a nuestras costillas, at our expense. And it ain't gonna happen. They want us to go away. They threatened us. Give me a break. We're not gonna go away. If anything, maybe that might work with somebody else, that Chicago-style approach. You know, and I will tell you, this isn't, you know, a historical fact in my family is that my father was very, very active in civil rights in Laredo, and in Laredo. And what at one point Texas Rangers went up to the house when he was being an activist, and they threatened my mother. So it's not new in our family being threatened like this. But what is antagonizing and annoying is when the media, the newspaper that should be on our side, that has historically supported, you know, and ferreted out political corruption, looks at the citizen as being the bad guy. I'm aghast at that, but that's okay. The fact of the matter is that George and I and our organizations, we're not going to back down. Whether it's the buses and the misuse of the money, or tearing down a historic building downtown so that some developer can come in, or any of these ridiculous things that are being done in the name of progress, but are being done ignoring the people, ignoring the will of the people, because we voted on it twice. That's what we need to address. Either we are here just as servants to the public elected officials, or the public elected officials are public servants to us. Okay? And it's that simple. Thank you very much.
I'd like to have Miss Betty Eckert come up to the podium and offer her comments. Betty?
Hello. I just have a few, and I'm going to be coming from a different direction. But this issue would be one of the most ridiculous that we've ever considered in San Antonio and Bexar County. We have in excess of 250,000 seniors. 1 in every 5 senior over the age of 65 no longer drives anymore. We have no transportation. We have presented a plan to our city leaders, to our Judge Nelson Wolf, to Councilman Lopez, to ACOG, to the City of San Antonio, to anybody that would listen. For the last 10 years, we need transportation for seniors. We need commuter buses to go into the neighborhoods. We don't need a trolley car or a streetcar that a senior could never ride. We need help. We need our city and our county leaders to represent the people. They're not representing. That's why we developed the Recall San Antonio team to now start calling them out. So be sure, if someone knocks on your door to sign a petition to call one of these leaders out that doesn't know how to represent, you sign that petition. Let's get the people in office that knows what to do and knows how to represent, and particularly our seniors. Thank you.
The next speaker is Mr. Ed Ocampo, who's what, LULAC Council 22042. Ed?
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Ed Ocampo. I am president of Resident Housing Council 22042, and as an advocate for Mirasol, which is also money gone down the drain, I certainly would like to speak up on behalf of this rail car down Houston Street, a historic avenue to the Alamo. Now, my main concern is the economic downfall that is going to happen, as history has basically it shows that all of the businesses there will hurt. Some may very well go bankrupt in the process. So I urge each and every one of the citizens of San Antonio to absolutely vote against this. Should you have an opportunity. I personally would like to go to each and every business on Houston Street and find out how they feel about it. I'm basically stating here right now that I have been victim, and so have other folks, you guys included, of a city entity that deals with their friends as opposed to the public of which they were sworn in to serve. So, with that in mind, once again, I'm Ed Ocampo, LULAC President 22042, Resident Housing Council, about to make certain that this never takes place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. And now I'll turn the podium over to Mr. Bob Martin, President of the HTA.
Well, thank you so much. You know, this stuff's been going on since 2000 when they tried to ram rail down our throats then. And by the way, we did have an election and rail went down 3-1. That's why VIA and their allies have gone through such contortions to avoid yet another vote, although it apparently another vote's not needed. But they continue to pursue their agenda. Just a brief history, we had streetcars in San Antonio in the late 1800s until 1933. During 1933, the streetcar lines were all dismantled, and the reason being is something came along that worked much better, and that something is called a bus. Buses can go just about anywhere a car can. Streetcars, not so. They're going to have to dig up roads, and they'll be dug up for up to 3 years while they try and lay this track. But we will continue to fight along with these other groups that are here today, and at some point in time, VIA is going to have to recognize that this is just a bad situation. And by the way, who gets hurt with these streetcars? Actually, it's the bus riders. Experience shows that these streetcars cost 3 to 5 times as much to operate as a bus. And the way they get the funds is they start cannibalizing the bus system. So they reduce service, streetcars demand more and more money. We've already had about a $70 million cost overrun. VIA hasn't even laid 1 inch of rail. So we can expect massive cost overruns, making this impractical. Well, it was impractical even at their price held steady. But anyway, on behalf of the Homeowner Taxpayer Association of Bexar County, we will stand opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. One last thing I want to say is that until now I had a great deal of respect for Congressman Charlie Gonzalez. He was always our champion, always was there to put up a fight for us. But ever since he joined VIA as our main public relations liaison, Mr. Gonzalez has changed his philosophy. He went on television the other night and was very arrogant in stating that we will not stop the streetcars. Well, Mr. Gonzalez, I'm here to tell you that, like the old football vernacular that's used, until the fat lady sings, it's not over. And we will continue this fight. And one last thing I want to ask you of our elected officials in the VIA board is stop treating us like mushrooms. The Zapatistas are tired of being treated like mushrooms. You keep us in the dark and feed us baloney. And he's baloney because of a better word. And finally, the last thing I'll tell you is don't urinate down my back and tell me that it's raining. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gregory Harrison, and I'm here on behalf of Empower Texans. Our overall mission is to seek government accountability at all levels, and this is just rife with unaccountable governance. Now, you've got Nelson Wolff going on record saying that it doesn't, during the design phase of this entire project, he said, it doesn't matter where it went. The entire goal was to just get it started. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm going to be placing something that can't be moved at a multi-million-dollar cost, I think that the placement takes on pretty great importance. Now, the other issue is that now is the time more than ever to be shouting for accountability. These people have been trying everything they can to get this past the voters, who have made it overwhelmingly clear that they don't want it. So I would urge you to just be paying attention and cause some trouble. They don't like it. We need to be throwing stones. We need to be making some noise. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, so to speak. And so now is the time we need to be demanding accountability, because these people aren't going to keep themselves accountable. They're treating taxpayers like their own private slush fund for their own pet projects, and that is unacceptable. Thank you.